Truistery Vibes warmly welcomes all our beloved listeners. We're so glad to see you again in our familiar time slot.
Today,
Truistery Vibes brings you a brand new story, one that we hope will touch your heart and stay with you. As you listen, feel free to leave a comment sharing the quote or moment that left the deepest impression on you. Wishing you a wonderful and meaningful listening experience. Every corner of the auditorium resonated with last-minute energy. Stage lights dimmed between cues, leaving afterimages of painted backdrops on the black curtains. The faint hum of the air conditioning mingled with distant applause echoing from other rooms. Lily paused by the concession stand, where the smell of buttered popcorn and stale soda lingered. She ran a palm along the cool metal rail near the stage entrance, recalling the countless afternoons she had spent mastering her craft.
now,
Adrenaline still buzzed through her veins as she stepped into the night, determined to reclaim a sense of normalcy. Friday afternoon sunlight slanted through the tall, narrow windows of Washington High's auditorium. 15-year-old Lily Grant packed away her prop scripts. She tucked her glasses into her hoodie pocket, anxious to finish her lines and head home. She had a chemistry test on Monday and a promise with her mom, Dr. Evelyn Hart, to grab dinner together. Exiting through the side doors, Lily inhaled the crisp air of early spring. The sidewalks were slick with a recent rain, the scent of damp concrete and new blossoms mingling under the street lamps. She tightened her backpack straps and scanned the nearly deserted parking lot. The sky overhead glowed pale violet, the first stars daring to appear. In her mind, she rehearsed a monologue from the one act, emphasizing calm delivery. She pictured Ms. Reyes's approving nod in class, and a slice of pepperoni pizza waiting at Tony's on Maple. Approaching the intersection of 12th Street and Maple Avenue, Lily noticed that traffic had slowed. A few cars sat idling, brake lights pulsing like red beacons in the dusk. She waited for the walk signal. The world narrowed to her next step, her next breath. The crosswalk stripes climbed toward her like worn stair treads guiding her across dark water. Without warning, a low, thunderous rumble filled her ears. Lily froze as a glossy black SUV hurtled around the corner, headlights slicing through the fading light. She tried to halt, but her feet caught on a loose shoelace. In an instant, the vehicle bore down. Tires screamed. Lily's stomach tumbled as if she had sprung off a diving board too high above the water. She collided with the hood, weightless and terrified. The metal caved beneath her, and she slid off the side, hitting the pavement with a bone-jarring impact. The world blurred into a kaleidoscope of pain and haze. She lay on her side, breath raspy, her cheek pressed into the cool, gritty surface. Her pink hoodie was smeared with dirt and darker stains. Her glasses lay shattered beside her. "Lily, Lily, can you hear me?" A man's voice cut through the fog, panic infused every note. She tried to lift her head, but pain buckled her ribs. Her vision cleared enough to see a sharply dressed figure stepping out of the SUV. Tailored navy jacket, crisp white shirt. Michael Grant, her father. At his side was a woman Lily barely recognized. Blonde hair pulled into a sleek ponytail, a silk blouse beneath a cropped leather jacket. Sophie Blake, her dad's associate at Whitman and Company. Interiors. The woman's eyes widened with shock. Michael dropped to one knee, wiping raindrops from Lily's hair. "Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you." His voice cracked as he knelt beside her. Lily forced a shaky breath. Pain lanced through her side. "Dad, why are you here?" Her father froze, eyes flicking to Sophie, guilt etched in every line of his face. Sophie swallowed and lifted her phone. "I'm calling 911, she said softly.
don't.
Michael said sharply, grabbing Sophie's hand. Regret and terror warred in his gaze. "That was my fault. You shouldn't be out here alone." Lily glared at Sophie. "I'm not alone. You shouldn't be here." Sirens wailed nearby. A paramedic knelt on Lily's other side. "Stay still, honey," she said, reaching for Lily's arm. Everything slowed. Lily's chest tightened as secrets pressed against her ribs like poison. The sidewalk rattled with approaching engines. The paramedics slid a board under Lily and strapped her down. Her legs shook. "Hang in there," the paramedic said. Lily saw her father's face, torn between panic and remorse. Sophie stood aside, eyes avoiding his. The ambulance doors closed, and Lily's world narrowed to the blur of lights overhead and her racing breath. The bold white crosswalk stripes faded away as if they had never existed. All that remained was the roar of engines, the ache of betrayal, and a promise Lily whispered to herself. Nothing would ever be the same. Sirens receded behind them as the emergency bay doors at Johns Hopkins Hospital swung shut. Dr. Evelyn Hart sprinted through the bright corridor, her stethoscope bouncing against her chest. She had raced from Bellevue, abandoning rounds mid-discussion, her mind fixed on Lily. Paramedics rushed her daughter onto a trauma gurney, for lines trailing, monitors beeping urgently. Two trauma surgeons, Dr. Ramirez and Dr. Cho, barked orders with clinical precision. Evelyn's heart pounded against her ribs as she reached for Lily's hand. Fear clawed at her throat when she saw her daughter's pale face, dark hair plastered to her forehead, eyes closed. "What's her condition?" Evelyn demanded, voice raw. Dr. Ramirez did not mince words. "Severe head trauma. Subdural hematoma on both hemispheres. We're prepping her for emergency surgery. She's unstable. We need your consent now." Evelyn swallowed hard, voice shaking. "Do whatever you need to save her." She glanced up the hallway just as another stretcher rolled past carrying a different patient. And there, leaning against the wall, was Michael Grant. His crisp navy suit was stained with rain and discarded dirt, his tie loosened. Guilt and exhaustion were etched into his face. Sophie Blake stood beside him, arms crossed, phone held tightly in one manicured hand. Evelyn turned on him, eyes blazing. "You," she spat. "You almost killed her." Michael's shoulders sagged. He swallowed. "Evelyn, I never meant." "Don't," she snapped. Nearby nurses glanced over, alarmed. "I don't want your excuses. You were driving. You hit my child." Sophie raised a hand as though to intervene. "Evelyn, please." But Evelyn rounded on her, tone icy. "And you? You knew because you were there. You watched. You did nothing." Sophie's jaw clenched. "I called for help. You saw me dial 911. Not fast enough." Evelyn shot back, tears blazing. "My daughter bled on that street while you stood there looking at your phone." Michael's face crumpled. He took a step forward. "Evelyn, let's talk somewhere private." She shook her head. "This hallway is private enough." A nurse stepped in, asking for consent forms. Evelyn ignored her and focused on Michael. "You think an apology will fix this? You think I can just forgive you?" She might not wake up. Sophie took a cautious step. "Dr. Hart, this isn't helping Lily. Please calm down." Evelyn spun on Sophie. "You have no right to tell me how to feel about my daughter's deathbed." Sophie's stance faltered. Evelyn's fury radiated, cold and unforgiving. A soft voice drifted from the operating room entrance. Dr. Cho looked at Evelyn. "Dr. Hart, I need your signature. Time is critical." Evelyn took a deep, shuddering breath, glancing at Lily's limp arm. She knelt and signed the form with trembling fingers. "Do it," she whispered. "Save her." As Lily was wheeled away, Michael reached out. Evelyn slapped his hand. "Don't touch me," she cried. Michael's voice broke. "I'm so sorry, Evelyn. I'm so sorry, Lily." Evelyn straightened, voice hollow. "Go home, Michael," she said. "Stay away from us until I decide otherwise." He hesitated, eyes brimming with regret, then nodded and turned away. Sophie followed, her face pale. They passed through the bay doors while Evelyn pressed a hand to Lily's sleeping forehead. The surgeons vanished behind double doors labeled or3. Dr. Ramirez emerged, scrub cap barely concealing concern. Evelyn shot to her feet. "How is she? Tell me." He managed a small nod. "We've evacuated the hematoma. She lost a lot of blood, but vitals are stabilizing. It will be a long recovery, but she's alive." Relief thundered through Evelyn. She sagged with gratitude so fierce it stung her cheeks. Dr. Ramirez placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "She's in ICU now. Go be with her." Evelyn whispered thanks and followed him down a quieter hallway lit by recessed ceiling panels. The bleached walls gave way to the blue door marked Pediatric ICU. Through the window, she saw Lily's small frame under blankets, machines humming in sync with her slow breathing. As Evelyn entered, she spotted Dr. Lucas Reed waiting in a corner. His familiar calm smile was the only comfort. He gave a small nod. She sank into a chair beside the bed, brushing Lily's bangs aside. "Thank you," Evelyn whispered, tears brimming. "Thank you for making it out alive." Lucas sat opposite, voice soft. "She's a fighter. And so are you." Her resolve hardened in that moment, steeling her for the battles ahead. Evelyn stared at Lily's peaceful face, sweat on her brow. Her chest ached from confrontation, relief, and guilt. Outside the ICU, fluorescent lights hummed. Somewhere beyond those doors, Michael Grant carried his own remorse. But for now, all that mattered was Lily breathing beside her, fragile yet persistent. The ventilator's rhythmic hiss filled the pediatric ICU as Dr. Evelyn Hart pressed her palm against the cool railing at the foot of her daughter's bed. Green walls, painted with cheerful animal murals, felt cruelly ironic. 15-year-old Lily Grant lay fragile under a tangle of wires and monitors, her dark hair fanned across the pillow. For hours, Evelyn had clung to hope. Now dread weighed on her like cement as she waited for news that felt impossibly important. Dr. Ramirez entered quietly, his scrub cap askew. He avoided Evelyn's eyes.
"Dr.
Hart," he began softly. "May I speak with you?" Evelyn forced a steady breath. "Is she okay?" Her voice cracked. Dr. Ramirez shook his head. "I'm sorry. We did everything." The bleeding was extensive. Her brain swelling was unresponsive to intervention. She didn't make it. Silence exploded. The ventilator clicked off. Evelyn knelt beside Lily's silent form, cradling her daughter's hand. "No," she whispered, voice strangled.
"No, no, no."
Her sobs filled the room. Memories rushed, Lily's bright grin at ballet recitals, her shy pride in first piano lessons, the soft "I love you" at bedtime. Each memory tore Evelyn's heart further. Outside, Michael Grant stood with Sophie Blake in the waiting area. When a nurse delivered the news, Michael's knees went weak. Sophie's composure dissolved. He clutched Sophie's hand, his face ashen. "She's gone," he muttered, a confession to the empty hall. Michael rushed in, stopping short at Evelyn's door. She stared at Lily, oblivious even to his return. He reached out. Evelyn whirled and slapped his hand away. "Don't touch her," she cried. Michael's voice broke. "I'm so sorry, Evelyn. I'm so sorry, Lily." Evelyn's eyes, red-rimmed and hollow, found his. "Go home," she whispered. "Stay away until I decide otherwise." He nodded. Grief etched on his features and backed out of the room, Sophie trailing behind. Left alone, Evelyn sank to the floor. The chaplain hovered, gentle and silent. Evelyn curled into herself, ached with guilt, shock, and unforgiving sorrow. By dawn, Evelyn found herself in the hospital's psychiatric unit, a quiet wing with soft lighting and comfortable chairs. Dr. Meera Patel, the liaison psychiatrist, greeted her with professional warmth. "Dr. Hart, you're experiencing an acute stress reaction. We'll provide a safe space to process this. You may feel numb, angry, or dissociative. All are normal. We'll work together." Evelyn nodded, sensation numb below her neck. She changed into a loose smock and accepted a cup of herbal tea. Each sip felt like swallowing glass, bitter in her throat, but necessary. That morning, group therapy assembled 6 parents who had lost children. Stories tumbled out. A boy's favorite teddy bear left on the sofa, a girl's unfinished birthday candles still in a window. Evelyn listened, shock and solidarity intertwining. When prompted to share, she whispered. She loved baking cookies. The room fell hushed. For the first time, Evelyn spoke Lily's name among strangers, and the connection offered a sliver of comfort. Over the next days, therapy continued. Lucas Reed, Evelyn's friend and trusted colleague, visited daily, bringing Lily's journals filled with sketches and poems. He placed them on her lap. Evelyn flipped to a page where Lily had drawn two birds perched together, wings spread in flight. She imagined freedom, Evelyn murmured. Like us, soaring above pain. Lucas squeezed her hand. We'll find a way back to flight, he promised. One afternoon, Lucas led Evelyn to a hospital courtyard where cherry blossoms burst in pale pink. Petals drifted like confetti. Evelyn pressed her palm against the rough bark of a slender tree. She loved these, Evelyn said, voice catching. Lucas nodded. Let them remind you of cycles. Loss, renewal, hope. Evelyn inhaled, feeling the breeze brush her cheeks, and allowed herself to breathe a single calm breath. Dr. Patel introduced memory triggers. Lily's favorite piano sonata played softly each morning. A lavender sachet on Evelyn's pillow. Photographs of Lily's stage performances displayed on a rotating digital frame. On day 3, Evelyn woke to piano notes playing down the corridor. She recognized the opening chords of Chopin's Nocturne. Tears welled not from pain but from gratitude for Lily's voice, still guiding her. Michael and Sophie returned quietly, bearing lilies and Lily's sketchbook. Evelyn accepted the flowers without speaking, arranging them on her bedside table next to the journals. Michael's apology trembled in his voice. I'll never forgive myself. Evelyn looked away, tears glinting. Forgiveness would come later, if it ever could. A bright Saturday, the unit held art therapy in a sunlit room. Canvases and paint awaited. Dr. Patel instructed, paint your daughter's memory. Evelyn dipped a brush into pastel pink and mapped out Lily's joyful expression beneath floating petals. Each stroke felt like reclaiming a piece of her shattered soul. Lucas paused near her, studying the emerging portrait. That's Lily, he said softly. Evelyn's chest tightened, and for the first time in days she smiled. In the evenings, Evelyn attended one-on-one sessions with Dr. Patel. They reviewed journal entries, photographs, and recorded lullabies sung by Evelyn at bedtime. Slowly, Evelyn began to recall moments in vivid detail, Lily's small hand gripping hers as they crossed Maple Avenue. That split second before the SUV slammed into her. The memory sent a shudder through Evelyn, but Dr. Patel guided her through grounding exercises until she could face the image without collapsing. Meanwhile, Michael struggled with his own guilt. He confessed to a grief counselor that he could not enter the ICU or psychiatric unit again. Sophie arranged for private grief therapy sessions for him. Gradually, he learned to articulate remorse without collapsing in self-recrimination. Yet each Thursday he visited the courtyard, pressing a hand against the cherry blossom bark, whispering apologies into the breeze. 2 weeks after Lily's accident, Evelyn stood again at the courtyard tree. Petals drifted down like blessings. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Goodbye, my darling." A gentle wind rattled the branches overhead, and Evelyn felt a measure of peace. The world would never be the same, but her heart would carry Lily's memory forward. Returning to her room, Evelyn found Lucas waiting with 2 cups of tea. He handed her one. "For tomorrow," he said. Evelyn accepted it gratefully. She placed her painting, her journal, and her daughter's doll on the table. They formed a small shrine of love and remembrance. Evelyn sank into the armchair, wrapping her arms around the tea mug. She stared at the painting of Lily laughing beneath blossoms. Her chest still ached, but this time with a sense of purpose rather than crushing despair. She whispered to the portrait, "I will live for you." Evelyn opens Lily's journal to a blank page. She lifts a pen, poised above it. Outside, the sun sets over Maple Avenue. Cherry blossoms fall in slow spirals. Evelyn writes 3 simple words. "I am here."
Steadily.
The dawn light filtered through the blinds of Evelyn Hart's apartment, painting pale stripes across the hardwood floor. After weeks in the psychiatric unit, she had returned home at last. The walls still bore faint floral prints, remnants of a life before tragedy. Today, though, felt different. She rose from the bed and moved to the window, pulling back the curtain. Outside, Maple Avenue stirred with early commuters. Cherry blossoms fluttered in drifting pink clouds. Evelyn inhaled deeply, steadying herself for the day's first step. Evelyn dressed carefully in a soft gray dress and navy blazer. She had arranged with Human Resources at Bellevue Hospital to return on this Monday morning for a gradual schedule. As she gathered her bag, Lucas Reed's voice bubbled through her phone speaker. "I'll meet you at the hospital entrance at 10, he said gently. "Take your time." His support had been unwavering. But today Evelyn felt a flicker of self-reliance as well. The drive to Bellevue was a journey through familiar streets made strange by memory. Evelyn inhaled the spring air even as familiar landmarks summoned bittersweet recollections. The bakery, where Lily insisted on chocolate croissants. The park bench where mother and daughter shared Sunday picnics. Halfway there, Evelyn paused at a stoplight and opened the locket. She traced Lily's drawing. "We go on," she whispered, tears at the corners of her eyes. The traffic light shifted and she drove on. Lucas greeted her at the hospital entrance, handing her a travel mug of green tea. "First day nerves?" he asked with a small smile. Evelyn managed a nod. They walked inside together, passing the security desk where she swiped her badge for the first time since the accident. Her colleagues paused mid-conversation, offering tentative smiles and sympathetic nods. Some approached with gentle questions. "How are you feeling?" she answered with brief honesty. Ready to begin again. Evelyn's office was waiting, a tidy desk with a fresh nameplate reading Dr. Evelyn Hart, psychiatrist. On her desk, someone had placed a potted orchid with a sticky note. "Welcome back. From your team." Evelyn felt the first warm flutter of belonging. She arranged her papers, slid Lily's sketchbook next to her computer, and powered on the screen. Her first patient session began at 11. A young mother, Claire Lawson, clutched her toddler's hand as they settled into the comfortable couch. Claire's son, 8-year-old Noah, had been diagnosed with leukemia. Evelyn guided the mother in breathing exercises as Noah's 4 dripped beside them. In that moment, Evelyn recognized her own response, the impulse to fix things. She closed her eyes, centered herself, and then offered Claire kindness tempered by professional calm. "We'll build strategies for you both to face treatment together," she said. Claire nodded, relief shining in her eyes. After lunch in the hospital cafeteria, Lucas joined her for a quick walk in the small garden courtyard. Beneath the cherry blossoms, they paused at Lily's favorite tree. Evelyn pressed her palm to the bark and closed her eyes. "Today felt challenging," she admitted. "But I also felt useful." Lucas offered a reassuring smile. "Day by day," he said. "Your recovery is a journey, not a race." Evelyn nodded. She reached for Lucas's hand, a silent thank you. That afternoon, Evelyn met with Dr. Meera Patel for a debrief. Patel reviewed Evelyn's journal entries from group therapy and art sessions. She commended Evelyn's ability to reconnect with positive memories. "Your grief remains," Patel said, "but you're integrating it into your identity rather than letting it define you. That's progress." Evelyn leaned back, absorbing the praise. It felt both fragile and firm, like a seedling pushing through dark soil. "Therapy helped me find a path," she said softly. "I want to help parents carry their grief with more grace than I managed." Patel nodded. "That insight will shape how you guide your patients. Just remember your own boundaries. Healing can be exhausting." Before leaving, Evelyn added a fresh entry to her journal. "I choose to live fully in Lily's memory." By 5, Evelyn was exhausted but energized. Lucas saw her off at the waiting area. She hugged him, whispered thanks, then stepped into her car. Traffic down Maple Avenue glinted in the golden hour light. As she drove, Evelyn realized she was no longer running from pain. She was steering through it. Later that evening, Evelyn settled on her couch with Lily's sketchbook on her lap and a cup of chamomile tea. She flipped through pages of nursery rhymes turned into poems and bursting floral sketches. Each drawing reminded her of Lily's passion. Evelyn selected a page to scan into her computer. An idea sparked, a digital gallery of Lily's art to share with families in the hospital. She noted it in her planner for tomorrow. When her phone pinged, she saw a text from Michael. "Can we meet?" Evelyn stared at the screen. Forgiveness was still distant, but she recognized an opportunity for closure. She typed, "Let's schedule next week." Restraint felt empowering. As the calendar turned from day to dusk, Evelyn closed her eyes and breathed deeply. In the silence of her apartment, Lily's presence felt near. Evelyn pressed the locket to her heart. Outside, cherry blossoms drifted across the street. Tomorrow, she would rise again on Maple Avenue. Not as a victim, but as a healer shaped by love. Before sleep, Evelyn selected a few lines from Lily's poem about morning light, reading them aloud softly as a lullaby to her own heart. The words warmed her from within, stitching hope into her soul. She whispered to the empty room, "I will honor you every day," then closed the sketchbook, extinguished the lamp, and let dreams carry her forward quietly until sunrise. Fresh from the festival's triumphant launch, Dr. Evelyn Hart returned to the Bellevue Community Arts Center brimming with optimism, only to find the first tremors of trouble lurking beneath the bright veneers of painted walls and digital displays. The cherry blossom mural, which only days ago had symbolized renewal, now seemed to mock her. Its delicate petals contrasted sharply with the harsh reality of depleted funds and fraying volunteer morale. By Monday morning, the center's bank account sat perilously low. Evelyn stared at the unpaid invoices for canvases, brushes, and venue insurance, nearly $25,000 in total. Major sponsors who had pledged during the gala revealed frozen budgets. A terse email from a corporate backer read, "Due to revised funding priorities, we must withdraw our support." Evelyn's heart sank. She replayed Lily's laughter echoing through the atrium at the festival's ribbon cutting. How could such promise dissolve so quickly? Word spread through the volunteer Slack channel. "We need a plan, fast." But messages grew terse. Where once 200 volunteers had clamored for assignments, only 50 remained active. At their biweekly check-in, Sophie Blake's usual cheer faltered. "People thought the festival was a one-off event," she said, voice tight. "Now they're moving on." Sophie tapped her tablet, revealing a 20% drop in sign-ups. Evelyn swallowed hard, realizing that sustaining momentum would demand far more than goodwill alone. Creative tensions surfaced in the paint studio next. Marcus Alvarez, whose gentle watercolors had anchored the festival's signature blossoms, refused to let anyone else touch his mural. Across the room, Mara Collins, an outspoken street artist volunteer, sprayed neon stencils onto drop cloths. When Marcus accused her approach of diluting our message, Mara snapped back. "Your sentimentalism alienates younger participants." Their voices rose, paintbrushes slamming against canvas racks. Then came the media blow. A scathing blog post titled, "Art for Healing. Festival Fizzle," went live on a popular local outlet. The article lambasted the center for high-profile hype and no sustainable follow-through, citing empty studios and shuttered workshops. Evelyn scrolled through angry comments. "What a waste of taxpayer money." And "Guess healing through paint only goes so far." Even kind-hearted neighbors began asking, "Are you sure this is making a difference?" The undercurrent of public skepticism felt like a cold wind slipping through every painted window frame. That evening, Evelyn sat alone beneath the painting of two birds soaring across the atrium ceiling, Lily's final masterpiece brought to life. She clutched her daughter's tattered sketchbook, tears tracing silent paths down her cheeks. In a voice rough with emotion, she whispered, "What if I've failed her?" The hush of the empty center seemed to swallow her confession. In that moment, grief rippled through her again, not just for Lily, but for every dream she had dared to paint upon these walls. But even in darkness, a single spark can ignite resolve. At dawn, Sophie arrived with a stack of handwritten letters, testimonies from families whose lives art and healing had touched. One grandmother wrote of finding joy painting alongside her grandson. A veteran described how dance workshops eased her PTSD. A teenager shared that writing poetry here had saved him from despair. Evelyn read each letter, feeling the uneven pulse of hope returning to her heart. These voices, fragile yet firm, reminded her why the center existed. Later that morning, during a pediatric art session, Evelyn met Marisol, a mother whose 6-year-old son Noah was in remission from leukemia. Marisol had never painted before, yet she gently guided Noah's trembling hand across a canvas. Afterward, she approached Evelyn. "Our church hall is empty most weekdays. If you can bring your programs to us, families who can't travel downtown could still benefit." Evelyn's chest tightened. In Marisol's suggestion lay the seed of a mobile arts outreach. Lily's vision had always been about breaking boundaries. Now it beckoned her to take the center on the road. By midday, Evelyn convened her core team, Sophie, Lucas, Michael, Marcus, and Mara, in her glass-walled office. She sketched a bold pivot on the whiteboard. Retrofit a donated shuttle bus into a rolling mini-studio, host pop-up painting clinics in church basements, school gyms, and senior centers. Schedule evening workshops, so working families could attend. The team leaned in, excitement rekindling around the room. Even Marcus nodded toward Mara's graffiti-inspired canvases. And Mara smiled back, brushes of peace bridging their earlier rift. That afternoon, Evelyn dialed her board of directors for an urgent strategy session. As board members logged in, she laid out the funding gap, volunteer attrition, and media backlash. Then, she outlined the mobile unit plan, a one-time capital expense covered by the Lilly Grant Foundation's emergency reserve, paired with community fundraising for operating costs. She projected that rural and under-resourced neighborhoods could increase reach by 30% within 6 months. She closed, voice steady. "This pivot will solidify our mission and honor Lily's legacy every mile we travel." Silence followed, then applause. The board chair spoke first. "This is courageous leadership. You have my vote." Within 24 hours, the center secured the necessary seed funding, galvanized donor pledges, and relaunched volunteer recruitment with a clear, purpose-driven campaign. Art on wheels. Healing on the move. The next day, as spring's sun warmed accumulated frost, volunteers gathered around the soon-to-be mobile arts truck, a teal shuttle tagged with cherry blossom decals. They tested easels, loaded paint buckets, and strapped down storage bins. Evelyn stood before the group, sunlight haloing her hair. "Today, we reach families beyond these walls," she announced. "We carry Lily's light to every corner of our community." With engines revving, the truck rolled away, its first route bound for Marisol's church basement. Evelyn watched from the courtyard, heart swelling as cheers faded into the distance. She pressed her palm to the mural's painted bark, whispering, "We bloom again." The flowers beneath her feet stirred in the breeze, real petals dancing in spring's promise. Through funding hardships, fractured collaborations, and public doubt, Evelyn had rediscovered her purpose. By daring to adapt and listen, she forged a path that connected lonely hearts across city streets and country roads. The Art and Healing Center would survive and thrive because it chose resilience over retreat. That evening, Evelyn opened Lily's sketchbook once more. Beneath a sunrise painted in watercolor, Lily had written, "Every storm brings a rainbow." Evelyn closed the book with a quiet smile. Tomorrow, the mobile truck would depart at dawn. She drifted to sleep wrapped in hope, knowing that art, compassion, and community would carry them all forward. Summer stretched into early autumn, and Dr. Evelyn Hart found herself standing at the threshold of a new chapter. The Bellevue Children's Mental Health Center lobby bustled with activity, families arriving for therapy sessions, volunteers guiding parents to waiting rooms, and colorful artwork lining the hallways like a vibrant tapestry of resilience. It had been nearly a year since Lily's accident claimed her life, and Evelyn's journey had taken her from raw grief to profound purpose. Now, she was about to embark on a new initiative that honored her daughter's memory through art and community healing. Evelyn paused by a corkboard displaying photographs from the scholarship ceremony. Her gaze lingered on the image of Mara Alvarez, last year's award recipient. painting a mural on an exterior wall of the hospital. She smiled, remembering how Mara's bold strokes had illuminated the entrance with scenes of soaring seabirds and sunrise horizons. Evelyn snapped a quick photo on her phone and forwarded it to Lucas with a thumbs-up emoji. His response popped up immediately. "Let's plan a spring unveiling." Settling into her office, Evelyn reviewed emails from prospective mentors, illustrators, photographers, sculptors, musicians, offering their time for the next cohort. She drafted an invitation to Sophie Blake, asking her to speak at the mentorship orientation about community arts engagement. Though Michael's absence still left an ache in her heart, Evelyn recognized the power of building strong alliances. With a decisive click, she hit send and felt a rush of momentum. At 10 sharp, Evelyn stood at the hospital entrance, exhaling deeply as petals drifted around her. Michael Grant spotted her and crossed the walkway, holding a single white lily. Their eyes met. Evelyn felt old wounds stir, but she stood her ground. Michael approached, head bowed. "Thank you for meeting me," he said softly. Evelyn accepted the flower. "Thank you for coming," she replied, her tone steady. They walked beneath the flowering trees. The scar on Michael's wrist a silent reminder of that fateful night. "I've been restoring murals with the scholarship funds," he shared, voice gentle. "Sophie and I organize community painting days for grieving families." Evelyn heard the sincerity in his words. "I've also donated to the Community Arts Fund," he continued. "The Michael and Lily Grant Memorial Scholarship is helping schools integrate art into healing." His gaze lifted. Lily loved creativity. "I want her spirit to inspire others." Evelyn's chest warmed at the promise. "That's beautiful," she said, allowing a small smile. "I launched the gallery this morning. Hundreds of families have signed up already, sharing their art and stories." She paused. "I'm not ready to forgive fully, but I see you're honoring her memory." Michael nodded. "I'm not asking for forgiveness today, just a chance to show respect for Lily's legacy." He offered a hopeful smile. Evelyn returned it, feeling a fragile bridge form between them. "Let's honor her together," she agreed. Inside the lobby, Lucas stood by a digital kiosk displaying Lily's gallery, a kaleidoscope of drawings, hummingbirds, dancing silhouettes, blossom-filled landscapes. Evelyn tapped Learn More, guiding families through registration. Volunteers assisted eager participants, building connections through creativity. That afternoon, Evelyn hosted a virtual launch via Zoom. Parents and children from across the country appeared in sunlit windows, their faces reflecting hope. "Welcome to Lily's Gallery of Hope," Evelyn began. "Here we connect through art and community." She showcased themed collections, healing through color, dancing through loss, words of memory. She lingered on Lily's watercolor of entwined birds. "This was Lily's final painting," Evelyn explained. "She believed that love gives us wings." Questions followed. How to submit entries, how to facilitate workshops in schools, how to create intergenerational art projects. Evelyn answered each with poise and warmth. Michael appeared in her corner, camera on, giving an encouraging thumbs up. Sophie's name flashed in the chat with congratulatory messages. When the launch ended, Evelyn closed her laptop, proud and humbled by the impact. 2 days later, Evelyn organized the first in-person session of the mentorship program in the community room. She arranged chairs in a circle and displayed pictures of water, blank canvases, and sketch pads. Framed prints of Lily's best sketches adorned the walls. At 6 o'clock, 8 young artists arrived, each carrying a piece created during the virtual gallery phase. Evelyn welcomed the group. "Thank you for sharing your art and your stories," she began. She lit a single candle in the center circle, inviting a moment of silence to honor losses. Then she prompted each to introduce themselves and explain their artwork. Jordan held a collage of broken pottery reassembled into a heart. Amara presented a poem about moonlight guiding her grief. Sam showed a line-cut print of a heron rising above stormy water. Tara, shy at first, revealed a pastel of her late sister skipping stones across a lake. Evelyn facilitated gently. How did this help you express what words could not? Tara's eyes glistened as relief washed over her. Connections formed as participants exchanged phone numbers and promised future art meetups. The room buzzed quietly with shared understanding, art forging community out of pain. Evelyn watched them, heart full. That evening, Lucas invited Evelyn to an outdoor concert in the city park. They settled on folding chairs beneath lantern-lit oaks, string musicians tuning nearby. Evelyn closed her eyes as melodies drifted upward. She held Lucas's hand. "Thank you for being my constant," she whispered. Lucas squeezed her fingers. "Always." The following weekend, Evelyn and Michael met for brunch at the bakery Lily had adored. Warm croissants scented the air. Michael placed fresh blooms beside her coffee. Evelyn slid a business card across the table. "Let's collaborate on school workshops," she said. "Combine the scholarship with gallery outreach for greater impact." Michael's face brightened. "I'd be honored." Outside the cafe, cherry blossoms danced along Maple Avenue. Evelyn pressed her palm against the mural painted last spring, a depiction of two birds in mid-flight. She traced their wings with her eyes. "We soar because we dare to remember," she murmured. As dusk fell, Evelyn walked home, her path illuminated by lanterns among the trees. She carried Lily's memory forward, not as a burden, but as wings. Under the petals of Maple Avenue, she felt echoes of tomorrow, resilience blooming anew. Steadily, she moved onward. Autumn's golden light filtered through the tall oaks lining Maple Avenue as Dr. Evelyn Hart stepped into the Bellevue Community Arts Center for the first planning session of the citywide Art for Healing Festival. She paused at the entrance, breathing in the crisp air tinted with fallen leaves. It felt both like an ending and a beginning, the end of her personal journey through grief, and the beginning of a collective celebration of creativity as a path toward recovery. Inside the center's spacious foyer, collapsible tables displayed colorful brochures, sketches, and prototype signage. Volunteers moved briskly, hanging banners that read, "Healing through art," and "Create, Connect, Renew." Evelyn spotted familiar faces. Marcus, the ceramic artist whose daughter's loss had inspired hundreds of clay sculptures at last year's gallery. Jasmine, the dancer whose movement workshop had touched dozens of families. And Max, the linocut specialist whose charcoal artistry resonated deeply during grief circles. Evelyn called Sophie Blake, waving from the registration desk. She wore a cozy burgundy sweater and jeans, her hair loosely braided. Sophie greeted Evelyn with a warm hug. "It's time to get everything ready," she said cheerfully. "Do you have the final site maps and volunteer roster?" Evelyn nodded and handed Sophie a set of colored maps outlining 5 festival blocks downtown. Each block had a theme: blossoms, dance, storytelling, music, and reflection, with the cherry blossom motif borrowed from Lily's favorite tree marking the central block. She retrieved the volunteer roster from her briefcase. "We have 200 volunteers from all walks of life," she said proudly. "Students, retirees, artists, parents. Everyone wants to help." Before the planning meeting began, Lucas Reed slipped an insulated coffee into Evelyn's hand. "Here," he said, smiling. "Fuel for the long day." Evelyn accepted it gratefully. Lucas had organized a technical team to manage digital installations, AR experiences of Lily's sketches at the mural site, QR codes linking to poems, and interactive screens letting visitors share messages of hope. Evelyn guided the group into a large conference room. Long tables formed a horseshoe around a central projector screen. Lead volunteers took seats, eager notebooks ready. Evelyn tapped the microphone. "Thank you all for joining us today. This festival is a living tribute to Lily's memory and to the countless families who find healing through creativity. Let's walk through each site and finalize logistics." First up was the Blossoms block. Mara Alvarez showcased her autumn reinterpretation of Lily's cherry tree mural. She held up small panels with rich hues of crimson and gold accented by pale pink petals. "These detachable panels can be swapped weekly to reflect the seasons," she explained. Evelyn nodded approvingly. "Incredible, Mara." Let's finalize the dimensions so it fits the downtown wall. Volunteers can help paint the final petals during the opening weekend. Next, Jasmine demonstrated a portable dance stage for community performances. She moved gracefully through a short routine, her arms carving arcs in midair. Families can join our flash mobs and learn choreography that expresses gratitude and release, she said, voice breathy from exertion. Evelyn smiled. That will give everyone a chance to embody their emotions through movement. Thank you. Max Johnson outlined the reflection corridor concept, a stretch of panels displaying polished surfaces next to participant artworks. People can write thoughts directly on the mirrors with non-permanent markers, he said. It symbolizes looking inward while honoring others. Evelyn tapped her pen.
Yes.
And we'll provide prompts like, what gives you strength? And who do you remember today? Then Sophia Martinez shared her poetry slam setup. A small stage, pocket microphone, and soft uplighting would allow poets to share verses. We'll alternate youth slams, veteran storytellers, and community open readings, she said. Evelyn nodded, moved by Sophia's passion. Words have power. Thank you. Last, Lucas updated on digital installations. He displayed mock-ups on the projector. An AR filter overlaying Lily's paintings onto city architecture, a touchscreen map letting visitors pin hometown dedications. By festival's end, we'll have a global tapestry of solidarity, he said. Evelyn felt her chest tighten with gratitude and pride. This is going to be beautiful. After 2 hours of detailed planning, the group dispersed to tackle individual tasks. Evelyn, Sophie, and Lucas lingered. The launch is in 4 weeks, Sophie said. Are you ready? Evelyn took a moment, gazing at the mock-ups and sketches scattered on the tables. I think I am, she replied. Let's give Lily the celebration she deserves. Over the next weeks, Evelyn balanced patient consultations with festival duties. Mornings brought her to the ICU. Afternoons found her overseeing site preparations. She coordinated city permits, arranged art supply deliveries, and held evening video calls with sponsors. Each night, she returned home to finalize email details, update the festival website, and journal small reminders of Lily. Petals, bird silhouettes, gratitude lists. On a rainy afternoon, Evelyn walked through the partially constructed Blossoms block under plastic tarps. Volunteers painted scaffolding frames cherry pink. She approached an elderly volunteer mixing paint near a ladder. It's beautiful, Evelyn said, placing a hand on the woman's sleeve. Thank you for giving us this chance to heal, replied the volunteer, eyes glistening. The night before the festival, Evelyn stood alone under string lights hung between lamp posts on Main Street. The blocks were quiet, materials stacked and covered, signage ready. She pressed 2 fingers to her heart, whispering, Lily, tomorrow we bloom for you. A breeze rustled fallen leaves, as if answering her. On opening day, a crisp sun rose over Maple Avenue. Families streamed downtown while live music began. Dancers twirled, painters traced petal stencils, and poets recited heartfelt verses beneath pop-up tents. Michael Grant appeared with Sophie at the Blossoms block, handing out branded festival pins. He caught Evelyn's eye and offered a respectful nod. Evelyn smiled back, gratitude and forgiveness mingling. In the mid-afternoon light, Evelyn led a guided tour for community leaders. She explained how the festival's elements symbolized personal growth, petals representing memories, dance symbolizing release, poetry embodying voice. As they passed the reflection corridor, she saw tears in several eyes, both joy and sorrow mingled amid mirrored panels. Later, Evelyn joined a panel discussion about arts and healing. She spoke confidently. Art allows us to externalize grief and celebrate life. When we create, we invite connection, and it is through connection that we heal. The audience erupted in applause. As dusk settled, fireworks framed the bustling blocks. Lily's mural glowed under spotlights, while synchronized fans drifted cherished petals through the air. Evelyn stood on the volunteer platform with Lucas, Sophie, and Michael. She raised her arms to the sky, heart swelling with pride. This was the moment she had worked toward, For Lily, for families, for herself. With a final firework, the crowd cheered, and Evelyn exhaled a long breath. She glanced at Lucas beside her. "We did it," he said softly. Evelyn nodded. "We all did." In the quiet aftermath, volunteers and artists gathered to clean up, humming festival tunes. Evelyn moved among them, offering heartfelt thanks. Finally, she returned to the Blossoms block, gently brushing petals off the mural. She pressed her palm to the painted tree trunk beneath Lily's imprint and whispered, "Thank you, my love." Walking home under a canopy of oak and maple, Evelyn felt the festival's energy humming through her veins. The ripples of resilience she had helped create would echo far beyond this night. In Lily's name, art had become a beacon for healing, connection, and hope. Steadily, they all moved onward. The festival's success rippled outward, proving that art and compassion can heal the deepest wounds. Winter's first frost glistened across Maple Avenue as Dr. Evelyn Hart arrived at Bellevue Community Arts Center for the festival's post-mortem meeting. The lobby smelled of pine and gingerbread cookies, a festive contrast to autumn's earthy scents. Ice crystals clung to window panes, sparkling under strings of white lights. Evelyn paused to take in the scene. Volunteers hanging holiday banners, children affixing paper snowflakes to bulletin boards, and a small choir practicing carols in the corner. It felt like a silent promise of renewal. Inside the conference room, a large projector screen displayed highlights from the Festival of Healing. Lucas Reed set up a slideshow of families painting murals, dancers guiding senior residents through gentle routines, and poets sharing verses under twinkling lights. He welcomed the assembled team of mentors, volunteers, and community partners. "Thank you all for your dedication. Today we'll discuss how to sustain our work year-round." Evelyn tapped the microphone. "Our goal is to transform this festival into a permanent art and healing program," she began, her voice warm with purpose. "We'll host monthly workshops at the Arts Center, partner with local schools for in-school art therapy sessions, and maintain the digital gallery within the hospital portal. These initiatives will ensure that creativity remains a lifeline for families." Michael Grant stood to add, "I've secured matching funds from the Lilly Grant Foundation for the next 2 years. This commitment covers materials, staffing, and outreach." He passed around fully executed grant documents. Volunteers murmured approval. Relief and gratitude were written on every face. Next, Mara Alvarez presented sketches for rotating community murals. Each quarter, a new cohort, patients, families, and local artists will refresh a dedicated wall. This keeps the artwork dynamic and engages new voices. Evelyn jotted down notes. "We'll schedule public painting days. Sponsors can provide art kits for kids to personalize their own petals." Jasmine, the movement therapist, described seasonal dance classes for seniors and youth. "Movement fosters connection across ages," she explained, demonstrating a simple arm gesture. Evelyn responded, "Let's partner with senior centers and schools. We can measure progress in mobility and mood improvements." Max Johnson showcased an expanded digital reflection portal. Visitors can record short audio tributes and upload digital sketches. "We'll integrate these with an interactive map, highlighting global participation." Evelyn tested the prototype. Pressing record and whispering, "I remember you," the playback crackled with emotion. "This truly amplifies distant voices," she said. Sophia Martinez outlined the Poetry Slam series. A small stage with soft uplighting would host alternating sessions for teens, veterans, and bereaved parents. "We'll book local poets and open slots for attendees," she said. Evelyn nodded. "Words carry healing. Thank you for organizing it." After 3 hours, the team dispersed, energized by the plans. Evelyn, Sophie Blake, and Lucas lingered. Sophie smiled. "The launch is in 3 weeks. Are you ready?" Evelyn surveyed the room's mock-ups and materials. "I believe we are," she replied. "Let's give Lily the living tribute she deserves." Over the following weeks, Evelyn balanced patient consultations with festival preparations. Mornings found her in the hospital's therapy rooms. Afternoons, She coordinated site installations and permit approvals. Evenings were devoted to finalizing promotional materials and updating the festival website. Each night, she recorded a brief journal entry. Today we laid the groundwork for continuous creativity. On a drizzly December afternoon, Evelyn visited Kids Haven Outpatient Clinic to test holiday art activities. She found tables stocked with ornament kits, volunteers guiding children to hand-paint bird-shaped keepsakes. A boy named Ethan offered her a heart-shaped ornament. "For Lily," he said shyly. Evelyn accepted it gently, placing it on the clinic's miniature tree. Her throat tightened with gratitude. The night before the program's first workshop, Evelyn stood outside the arts center beneath frosted branches. The building was quiet, windows aglow with warm light. She pressed her palm to an interior window, whispered, "Lily." Families arrived carrying portfolios and sketchbooks. Inside, volunteers welcomed them with hot cider and seasonal cookies. Evelyn opened with a dialogue circle, each participant naming an emotion they hoped to transform through art. Children drew snowflakes symbolizing unique stories. Adults painted abstract swirls representing hope emerging from darkness. Midday, a reflection session invited attendees to write messages on mirrored panels. A grandmother etched "Grandma loves you" beside her daughter's childhood drawings. A teenager wrote, "I will rise." Evelyn circulated, offering encouragement and gentle guidance. That afternoon, Jasmine's dance troupe performed a routine choreographed around winter's calm. Their movement spoke of surrender and renewal. Max accompanied them with live cello, the resonance weaving through the gallery. As they finished, the audience rose in applause, tears glistening in many eyes. Evelyn closed the event with heartfelt remarks. "Thank you for sharing your creativity and courage. Today we proved that art not only expresses grief, but sparks resilience." The crowd erupted in affirmation, families hugging one another. As dusk fell, fairy lights cast a warm glow on the murals, now adorned with winter motifs, snow-kissed petals alongside Lily's signature blossoms. Lucas joined Evelyn, handing her a program booklet. "Look at all these contributors," he said. Evelyn thumbed through pages listing sponsors, volunteers, artists, and families. "This is our community's gift," she replied, voice soft. Walking home, Evelyn reflected on the festival's evolution from a single weekend event to a year-round beacon of healing. She realized that grief's landscape would forever shift, but creativity would remain a constant anchor. At home, she placed Lily's keepsakes, ornament, locket, and sketches on a windowsill. Each memento sparkled under holiday lights. That night, Evelyn tucked the journal entry, "Today we built tomorrow's hope," beside Lily's drawing of morning light. Outside, snowflakes drifted against the glass. She closed her eyes, heart brimming with purpose. Steadily, they all moved onward. For every life touched and every story shared, Lily's memory lives on in vivid color and in the courage of our hearts. Spring unfurled its emerald carpet across Maple Avenue, heralding a season of renewal that resonated deeply within Dr. Evelyn Hart's soul. Nearly 2 years had passed since Lily's accident, yet her daughter's spirit shimmered in every petal, every brushstroke, and every heartbeat of the community Evelyn had nurtured. Today marked the culmination of their collective journey. The grand opening of the permanent Art and Healing Center, a living monument to creativity, compassion, and resilience. Evelyn arrived at dawn to oversee final preparations. The center's exterior had been transformed from a nondescript storefront into a vibrant sanctuary. Sky blue double doors flanked by murals of swirling cherry blossoms and soaring birds, a direct homage to Lily's final painting. Volunteers buzzed around stacked paint cans, railings draped in pastel bunting, and planters filled with tulips. The early morning light caught dew on petals, making the scene sparkle. Inside, the atrium stretched upward, skylights flooding the space with natural warmth. Exposed brick walls bore gallery-quality reproductions of children's artwork, each piece stamped with the center's logo and debut date. A polished wooden floor reflected sunlight beneath a suspended mobile of paper cranes, each painted by families who had found solace here. She checked her watch. Guests would start arriving in 30 minutes. Local officials, partner organizations, hospital leadership, media, and dozens of families whose lives had intersected with art and healing. Evelyn's heart fluttered with both pride and vulnerability. This day had lingered on her horizon like a beacon, a promise that grief could be honored and uplifted through creativity. In the fellowship hall adjacent to the atrium, Sophie Blake adjusted packets at a registration table. Each envelope contained a name tag, a program booklet illustrating the year's highlights, and a miniature canvas for guests to autograph after the ribbon cutting. Sophie looked up, eyes bright. RSVPs are over 200, she said. Social posts last night drove interest across 5 states. Evelyn smiled, squeezing Sophie's shoulder. Thank you. None of this would be possible without you. Sophie waved it off but returned Evelyn's gratitude with a determined nod. Lucas Reed appeared, carrying a stack of tablets loaded with the Lily's Gallery app. AR demo is good to go,
he announced.
He led Evelyn to a corner where a scanner and monitor awaited. Point here, he said, tapping a printed marker on the wall. Evelyn held up her tablet. Instantly, Lily's watercolor birds sprang into 3-dimensional space above the mural, animated petals drifting. They both laughed with delight. It's perfect, Evelyn whispered. Their moment was interrupted by Michael Grant's arrival. He strode across the atrium, dressed in charcoal slacks and a light gray blazer. In one hand, he carried a bouquet of white lilies. In the other, a small wooden box wrapped with ribbon. Good morning, Evelyn, he said warmly, placing the flowers on a nearby bench. I've brought remembrance lilies for our families to plant in the courtyard. Evelyn placed a hand on Michael's arm. Thank you. That's beautiful. They stepped into the courtyard alcove visible through glass partitions. Rows of planter beds waited, stocked with bulbs and hand trowels. Together they arranged buckets of lilies and daffodil bulbs so families could participate after the ceremony. At 10 o'clock, the lobby doors swung open to reveal Mayor Angela Chin, Maple Arts Council Chair Vanessa Rodriguez, and Bellevue Hospital CEO Dr. Warren Clark. They greeted Evelyn with warm embraces and congratulatory remarks. Mayor Chin handed her a framed citation recognizing the center as a community pillar of hope. Evelyn accepted it with tears in her eyes. This belongs to every volunteer, mentor, and family who share their stories, she said. Sophie ushered Dr. Clark to a ceremonial console where the digital archive launch awaited. Clark tapped the screen, unveiling an interactive timeline of gallery milestones, scholarship awards, and festival highlights. Families gasped as their own contributions flickered on screen, alongside Lily's original sketch in the center. Soft applause filled the atrium. Next, Evelyn took her place on a small stage at the atrium center, flanked by volunteers holding bud vases of cherry blossoms. She raised her hand for quiet. A hush fell over the assembled crowd of 200 guests, including Lucas, Sophie, Michael, Maya Nguyen, Marcus Alvarez, Jasmine Patel, Max Johnson, and numerous families. Welcome, she began, voice steady. Tonight we celebrate not an ending, but a beginning. This art and healing center stands as a testament to the power of compassion and creativity. It is a living memorial to my daughter Lily, whose spirit sparked these ripples of resilience. She gestured toward murals and installations. Within these walls, hearts will find solace in color, voice in movement, hope in words. May every brushstroke remind us that beauty can rise from pain. Evelyn introduced a video montage. On the screen, families painted murals with local artists, dancers performed in hospital hallways, poets recited verses under twinkling lights, and children sketched memories of loved ones. The montage ended with Lily's watercolor of birds, animated to flutter across the screen. Tears glistened in many eyes. She invited Michael forward. He spoke of the scholarship's impact, funding private art lessons for bereaved youth, supporting mentorship programs, and offering grants to emerging artists addressing themes of grief and recovery. Evelyn and Michael thanked sponsors, the Lilly Grant Foundation, the Bellevue Hospital Auxiliary, the Maple Arts Council, and numerous local businesses. Following the speeches, the ribbon-cutting ceremony commenced. Evelyn and Michael held golden scissors. Children releasing paper butterflies overhead cheered as the ribbon fell. The double doors swung open to reveal interactive art stations, a collaborative mosaic mural, a poetry wall with chalk markers, a dance floor for guided sessions, and digital kiosks showcasing Lily's gallery. As guests mingled, sipping sparkling cider and sampling cookies baked by volunteer families, Evelyn slipped away to the atrium balcony. Below, participants animatedly shared stories. She sensed Lily's presence in every smile and every tear. Lucas joined her, offering a folded linen napkin printed with Lily's drawing of morning light. "You did it," he said softly. Evelyn hugged him. "We all did." Later, a silent auction raised funds for new programs: art therapy in intensive care units, songwriting workshops for veterans, community quilting circles for seniors. Each bid carried a promise of continued healing. Evelyn raised her paddle for the final lot, an exclusive painted panel by Mara Alvarez inspired by Lily's sketches. The winning bid surpassed every expectation. As the gala wound down, Evelyn took the microphone once more. "Thank you,"
she said,
"for believing that art can mend hearts and build community. May this center shine as an everlasting light." The audience rose, applauding in a standing ovation. After guests departed, Evelyn lingered in the empty atrium. Evening light filtered through skylights, illuminating dust motes in gentle dance. She walked among the murals, pausing at Lily's cherry blossom painting. Placing her palm on the wall, she whispered, "Forever, my darling." Steadily, they all moved onward, carried by the gentle power of creative resilience. Early dawn light filtered through the atrium skylights of the newly opened Art and Healing Center, painting the polished wood floor in pale gold. Dr. Evelyn Hart stood quietly near the central mosaic mural, an intricate design of Lily's cherry blossoms woven among vibrant community portraits. Volunteers were already bustling. One group wiping smudges from the artwork, another rearranging seating for the day's first program. Today would be the center's official transition from launch phase to sustained operation. Evelyn inhaled the faint scent of fresh paint and tulips brought in by a volunteer florist. The harmony of sights and smells reminded her of Lily's favorite spring mornings. She tapped her watch, noting that parent-child watercolor workshops and teen poetry slams were set to begin in 40 minutes. With a nod to Lucas Reed, now the center's operations coordinator, she approached the registration desk where Sophie Blake greeted families by name, handing out welcome kits and coloring supplies. "Good morning, everyone," Evelyn said, raising her voice gently so as not to startle. A small child looked up from a coloring book, eyes widening with delight. "Thank you for joining our first official day of ongoing programming. Your presence here makes this place come alive." Parents and children gathered, clutching kits that included mini canvases, pastel sticks, scented markers, and keepsake tokens featuring Lily's painted birds. Evelyn led them into the studio area where instructors stood by easels. One instructor, Mara Alvarez, offered guidance on mural techniques. Another, Max Johnson, demonstrated line-cut printmaking. Jasmine Patel prepared mats for an expressive movement session. From the corner, a gentle violin melody emerged. Lucas's volunteer musician, Marco, had brought his instrument to play soothing tunes for families with young children. Evelyn paused, closing her eyes as the notes intertwined with laughter and soft conversation. The music filled the center, an oral reminder that art took many forms. Meanwhile, in the conference hall off the atrium, Michael Grant and Maya Nguyen, an outreach coordinator, hosted a community partnership meeting. School art teachers, senior center directors, and representatives from homebound care services discussed scheduling monthly outreach sessions. A converted arts van, wrapped in cherry blossom decals, awaited deployment to rural neighborhoods by early summer. Evelyn slipped into the back of the room and listened as participants mapped routes and resource needs. The workshop spaces thrived. In one, A group of veterans painted abstract landscapes guided by trauma-informed instructor Dr. Meera Patel. In another, senior citizens created paper quilts composed of square panels featuring positive messages and floral patterns. Across the hall, a youth poetry slam was in full swing. Teen poets took turns reading verses inspired by personal loss and growth. Each line resonated through the vaulted ceilings, weaving a tapestry of spoken emotion. At noon, Evelyn joined Sophie and Lucas in the green courtyard adjacent to the center. Lunchtime tables were set with box salads, wraps, and lemonade donated by local businesses. As families ate beneath budding trees, volunteers collected informal feedback, sticky notes on a wall of voices where visitors wrote one word to describe their experience: hope, connection, healing, joy. Sophie tallied results on her tablet. Over 98% of visitors say they'd recommend our programs to friends, she reported. Evelyn smiled, pride warming her cheeks. And that's just the beginning. As the afternoon sun shifted, Evelyn led a small group of mentors through a reflective walk in Riverside Green, a nearby park adopted by the Center for Seasonal Dance and Drawing Sessions. They wandered along the stream, discussing next quarter's schedule, art therapy at the new children's psychiatric ward, mobile poetry vans visiting underserved communities, and intergenerational mural days with local schools. When the group returned, Evelyn found Michael planting lilies alongside the courtyard edges. She knelt beside him, tucking a delicate blossom into the freshly turned soil. "Your vision made this possible," she said softly. Michael's eyes glowed. "We're in this together. Lily's hope guides us." A gentle breeze swirled petals through the courtyard as Evelyn rose. The center's new chapter had officially begun, a seamless blend of daily programs, community outreach, and creative innovation. Each brushstroke, each dance step, each verse shared here would ripple outward, an everlasting light born from heartbreak, nurtured by art, sustained by collective compassion. As dusk settled, the Art and Healing Center glowed from within, its windows framing scenes of ongoing workshops. Dr. Evelyn Hart paused by the entrance, watching families depart with painted canvases and clay sculptures tucked in tote bags. The air held a soft warmth reminiscent of embers after a bonfire, gentle, sustaining. Inside, Lucas Reed gathered dismantled equipment from a youth screen printing session. He looked up when Evelyn entered. "I've logged today's volunteer hours. Over 800, he said. Evelyn's eyes lit. Incredible. That community engagement continues to exceed every projection. In the fellowship hall, Sophie Blake organized volunteers for the mobile arts truck, now repainted in cheerful teal and branded with the center's logo. She reviewed route maps, community centers in outlying counties, underserved neighborhoods, and rural schools lacking arts funding. Evelyn joined her at a large table strewn with art kits. "Your coordination makes outreach seamless," Evelyn said. Sophie smiled. "It's teamwork. Lily's vision keeps us focused." Next, Evelyn attended a reflective circle in the community room where poets, dancers, and painters shared progress and feedback. A mother described how art sessions had helped her teenager cope with anxiety. A veteran recounted writing song lyrics about resilience. Each story underscored the center's ripple effect. Evelyn spoke briefly. "Thank you for your bravery and creativity. You are the reason this center thrives." Later, Evelyn led a surprise dedication in the courtyard. Michael Grant and a volunteer choir had arranged lanterns into the shape of Lily's favorite painting of two birds in flight. Lanterns flickered, casting shadows on the cobblestones. Evelyn handed out small glass votive candles to families, inviting them to light one in Lily's memory. Each flickering flame danced like a heartbeat, illuminating faces etched with loss and hope. As the final lantern was lit, Lucas cued recorded bird calls mixed with soft piano melodies. The air filled with gentle soundscapes, inviting contemplation. Evelyn closed her eyes, imagining Lily among the lights, her spirit soaring on wings of art and love. The center's glass doors remained open for those who wished to leave a message on the digital memory wall. Evelyn typed her own note. "Forever, my daughter, You guide every step. She tapped submit. Exhausted but exhilarated, Evelyn exited into the starlit night. The scent of cherry blooms drifted in the breeze. She paused under the mural of entwined birds, now softly illuminated by ground lights. She pressed her palm to the paint. Your light will never fade, she whispered. Walking home along Maple Avenue, Evelyn reflected on the journey, from a shattered heart to a vibrant community. The center, once a dream born from grief, now stood as a beacon of healing. Every workshop, every mural, every poem carried Lily's legacy forward. Before sleep, Evelyn opened her journal and wrote, "Today dreams took flight." She closed her eyes, comforted by the knowledge that art and compassion would endure beyond her lifetime. And that brings us to the end of today's story on Truistory Vibes. Don't forget to leave a comment with a quote or moment that touched you the most. Your words give our team the motivation to keep creating more heartfelt stories. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again soon.